That is heartbreaking, it is wrong, and no one should be treated that way in the United States of America.
Good evening. America is the land, the nation of plenty, the richest country in the history of the world. But we have real numbers tonight on the staggering increase in people barely getting by. In a new report today, the government says 44 million Americans now live in poverty. 4 million joined the list just last year. And that means 1 out of every 7 people we pass on the street could be struggling for basic needs.
Look at this graphic. In the final months of the Bush administration, monthly job losses of 728,000 in November of 2008, 673,000 in December of 2008, and the worst month of all, January 2009, 779,000 jobs lost in January.
The recent recession has highlighted the growing problem of poverty in America. Media exposure to this and other issues have forced politicians to seek publicity for their political actions. However, in the process, television media often forgoes a representation of both sides in the economic argument for the stimulus program. Here, David Muir praises the unemployment package of the stimulus bill for saving 3 million jobs, claims which are provided by the White House.
Such an inspiration to us as we followed him this last year. And Diane, the experts I talked with today said, had unemployment benefits not been extended last year when they were putting these numbers together, we'd have to tack on another 3 million Americans to this number.
And the food banks, of course, are putting out pleas for help as well. But David, we want to bring in Melody Hobson now, ABC News financial contributor, president of Ariel Investments in Chicago. Because Melody, as you look at the report, what's the number that is the most telling for you?
What is most shocking to me is that for an individual to be considered to be living in poverty, they make $10,830 or less in the course of a year. And yet there are so many people out there who are making minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, working a full work week, which is 2,000 hours a year, barely scraping by on the $14,500 that comes from that work every year, which means that people are worse off than even we may think.
That's right. There's so many people who are not officially in that number. 9.6% unemployment, as David was saying, and we're looking at the optimum of 4.6%. How many jobs does that represent for a healthy economy?
With 15 million people unemployed, we need to add about 5 million jobs to get to 6% unemployment.
And are you seeing anything out there that seems alive, that gives you hope?
I think the story is innovation. It's not any one industry, it's innovation. Let's look at an obvious place, technology. Apple in the last 5 years has added 24,000 jobs to their company. Along the way, they've invented the iPad, the iPhone, the App Store. Lots and lots of innovation created lots and lots of jobs.
All right, Melody, thank you so much. And again, your food banks are all asking for help. A lot we can do for each other in these times.
What David Muir fails to tell the public is that it's impossible to determine exactly how many jobs were lost or gained during the recession. Here is another point of view. Hundreds of economists have signed this full-page ad in the New York Times warning of the failure in the stimulus program. In this list are several Nobel laureates and Harvard economics professors. The Obama administration, however, relied on 2 outside economics professors to back up their claims in the stimulus program. I would be remiss to say that this side represents all economists in America. The Center for American Progress advocated the use of the stimulus bill and affirmed the success of the policy a year after the stimulus was enacted, stating that government expenditures reduced unemployment and therefore poverty. However, census data shows that even the war on poverty, itself an enormous expenditure, did not lower the rate of poverty, and it stayed at an almost constant rate for 30 years, even with a dramatic increase in welfare spending that reaches some $700 billion. This is what the media doesn't see.
Had to buy food and clothes for her family out of a government handout. For the whole of that time, her husband Steve hasn't had a job. Each week he collects what's known in Britain as Social Security. The government looks after him, his wife, and their children. But accepting welfare payments means accepting the rules of those who hand them out.
My opinion, anyway. you feel as they own you. You know, there's no other way of putting it. Say I got a job tomorrow because I needed something. Well, I know that I've got to go down there and report it. Because I couldn't go into the job because you'd be looking over your shoulder thinking, well, the Social Security's coming in. I'm going to be done for it. It's just hopeless. You can't fight against it.
The jobs around now these days, you only come up with about £45 a week. And then you deduct your stamp out of that. You still finish up with about £39. So what good is it working? When you still get the same thing, you know what I mean? I can't see anything.
These are the facts. Nobody disputes them. We know we must reform this system. The question is how.